my first consideration is does it have educational value? How much can we teach with this tune? And closely followed in second is, can we have fun rehearsing it, and will our audience like it? So each of these tunes, I felt met those two considerations. So I hope you enjoy all that we played for you today. It's a fun program, and I think we've all enjoyed all of them. There's lots of fasts, and lots of slows, and lots of softs, and lots of louds. And all the tunes are different. There's much variety of music, and I hope you enjoy everything that we play. And before I'm out of breath. I'm going to talk several times. If that's going to come as a shock to the band, because I've been not very talkative at all this weekend. Is that correct? I'm a talker. But I do. I'll thank some people as we go. But most importantly, I've got to thank my husband Mark, who's also a band director. He's standing over there. But watching the families here who've come to see their loved ones get awards, it reminds me how much faith and family and music, I mean, that's what I live for. That's what's important to me. And a few years ago, in 2019, Mark had a major stroke. I'd just taken the position in Wisconsin. It was in September, so I hadn't been there long, and he had a major stroke, and we didn't think he would make it. And so within a few days, he was home and had no residual effects at all. So miracles happen, and since then, we've been loving life, and we're both semi-retired. And he's been with me this weekend, and we presented a clinic a couple of days ago, and it's just wonderful. And I'm so thankful that he's here, and it's been a joy to have this music educational ride all these years with him. We've been married 38 years, and he's taught 43 years, and I've taught 34 years. So, before we continue, I just wanted to make sure and thank my husband Mark, because sometimes I forget, and he's the most important one. So, Mark Laird, thank you. Our next piece is entitled Green Sleeves, and I think you will certainly recognize the tune. It's a beautiful arrangement by a prolific composer named Alfred Reed. We're approaching the holiday season, and many of us recognize this as a holiday melody, but it's not only a holiday melody. We hear it year-round. It's a beautiful, beautiful melody and a beautiful arrangement. So I hope you enjoy your Green Sleeves. Royal Hawaiian, and I always try to program a march, and sometimes I like to pick something that's not quite so traditional. And as I was choosing music, the fires were happening in Maui. And Mark and I had just received notification that Mark's first cousin Joe was missing in the fire. He lived in Lahaina, and we both thought, oh gee, he's probably helping somebody, he'll turn up soon. And we texted and didn't hear anything, but we understood that there was probably sketchy cell service, and kept in touch with the other cousins, and a day or two passed, we hadn't heard from Joe, and other people who were missing were turning up, and we still hadn't heard from Joe. Fires were terrible, and still hadn't heard from Joe, and stayed in touch with the family, and rumors were coming that Joe probably hadn't made it. And we got confirmation that Joe did not make it through the fires. Joe had perished in the fires, and we still didn't have any details. And we finally heard the entire story. Joe lived next to a senior living facility, and Joe had evacuated. He was moving some things from his home to his truck, and he was leaving. And he saw 5 elderly ladies who were trying to leave and were having some trouble. So he went to help them, and he assisted one lady and got her away. She evacuated. He went in to get the other 4. And the wind was so great and the fires were so fast, they didn't make it out. And he sheltered in place, hoping that they could make it through the fires, and they just didn't make it. So Cousin Joe perished with those 4 elderly women as a hero. So Joe lived a fun, fantastic life. In his retirement years, he worked at a golf course in Maui. So what a life. He was a great guy. He was a musician who loved life, and he ended his life working on a golf course and as a hero, helping to save lives. So I decided this was a perfect tribute to the folks in Maui and to Cousin Joe. Well, approximately 2.5 weeks later, I woke up and checked Facebook, as I always do, and I just couldn't breathe. Robert W. Smith had passed away, and he's the composer of this march. Robert W. Smith is one of the kindest, and again, one of the most prolific composers and arrangers of band literature in the world. And I think all of the band directors and band students in this room have played Robert W. Smith's music. Many of us have met him at honor bands and clinics. Probably many of these students have seen him and worked with him. Super great guy. Worked at Troy University in Alabama, and he just had some complications from heart surgery, very unexpected, and he didn't make it. So, what turned out to, what I intended to be a tribute to Maui in Hawaii, turned out to be honoring 2 people who I love very much. So after having told you a very sad story, I want you to understand that this is a very uplifting march and a very happy march. And the 2 people and the island that I am honoring, and we are honoring this march, with this march, it speaks volumes about those 3, the 2 people in that island. Because when you hear this, you will appreciate the spirit and the determination and the resilience of those 2 people in that island. So we hope you enjoy the Royal Hawaiian, and there are some really fun things in this that you'll pick up on as well. And aloha. performer and a conch shell from Hawaii. So that was way cool. Yes. And we had some traditional Hawaiian percussion instruments that we brought out front so that you could see and hear those better. But one of the things that Robert W. Smith said about this is that, let me find it, if he said something, if John Philip Sousa was a surfer, then this would have been the march he wrote about Hawaii. So I thought that was kind of funny because, you know, John Philip Sousa was the march king, and so we all love John Philip Sousa, so I just thought that was really funny to picture John Philip Sousa in his Marine uniform surfing in Hawaii. So, what a fun march. Our next piece is entitled In His Grace, and I believe that you will recognize tunes in this as well. And I want to explain something to you. Our lyrical pieces, you will find that we slow down and speed up quite a lot. And with a group this large, it's very difficult to do. And if I'm with my band at home, we usually write all that down. And I write it down in my music so I don't forget it. I make sure the music, the students write it down because we all have pencils on our stand because I don't want us to make mistakes. And we write when we're going to get faster and when we're going to get slower and when we're going to get louder and softer and when we're going to stop because I want it to be really, really good when we perform it. With this group, we didn't write anything down. And everything you hear today is spontaneous because they are such mature musicians. And we have become ohans, which is the Hawaiian word for family. And so much of what you hear, we're doing for the first time. Now we may have done it in rehearsal, but probably not twice in a row. And I think that is so magical and so musical that what we're creating is true art. And when it's over, it's over. We can't, well, we can listen to the recording, thank goodness. But we can't put a bag of popcorn in the microwave and press a button and have popcorn in 30 seconds. We can't pick up a keyboard and press a button and imitate a trumpet sound with this group. This is something that parents you have paid for and listened to and encouraged for years and years and years. And this is the art form that's produced. And these students are magical. I mean, I would challenge you to find anybody on this planet to do something as magical and wonderful as they're doing today. And they're doing until Thursday evening, we had never played before. We have never been an ensemble before. And they are truly top-notch artists. And so what you're hearing is happening today. Now, there's been a lot of work involved. Don't get me wrong. Goodness gracious, they came here prepared. I did not have to teach any notes and rhythms. They walked in the room and they could play everything. But there are many spontaneous moments where we are creating music as you're hearing it. So I just think that's the coolest thing. And Mr. Martin, you got a little teary-eyed, and that'll happen to me several times in this concert because these students have given me chill bumps too many times for me to count in all the good ways. So I hope you enjoy In His Grace. music they make, I get lost. Like, I look down and I don't know where we are, because I just, they play so beautifully, I forget to pay attention to what I'm doing. So I'm so glad that when I get lost, they don't mess up. So their tone quality are just impeccable. Band directors, thank you for teaching such great tone qualities and wonderful concepts. These students are just remarkable. Our next tune is just fun. It's called Dance of the Imp. And let me tell you, parents, I told the students that if they have solos, duets, trios anywhere, to feel free to stand up and show out. And some of them will, some of them didn't feel comfortable. So just so you know, if your child has a solo and they stand up, they have my blessing. And if they have a solo and they choose to sit down, they have my blessing as well. So, you know, the concert's full of surprises. Some of them I know about, some of them I may not. So, wish as well. Dance with the Imp. talking other than I like to talk. It gives the students a chance to rest their lips a little bit. It gives the percussion a chance to change equipment and do the symphony and such. Gives me a chance to fan because it's hot. It's really not hot up here. I'm just sweaty. So this next piece is not dancing. It's called Luna, and it's by a Japanese composer. She's actually a piano player. And it's an original melody, and it just has some neat colors and chords and sounds, and I just think it's beautiful. Technically, it's not difficult at all, but it's just got some neat sounds in it, and I just think it's gorgeous. And this band, like everything else, they just make it better than it originally was intended to be. And I'm going to gush about them even more. I'm going to say this too before I go on. I think when you do honor bands, I know I always have the expectation, and